You Will, the leading mental health and wellness solution, proudly supporting 3 million students at more than 400 colleges worldwide with immediate access to licensed therapists 24/7, 365. For more information, visit youwill.com. That's UWILL.com.
Hey everybody, this is Elvin Freitas, co-founder of the EdUp Experience, and today we are extremely excited to announce our paid subscription service. By subscribing today, you will get exclusive early access to ad-free episodes, extended episodes, bonus episodes, original content. That's right, original content, and invites to special events, all while helping to sustain EdUp. To become a subscriber, go to edupexperience.com. That's EDUP experience.com and subscribe to our free email newsletter to learn how you can get access. Again, go to edupexperience.com. That's EDUP experience.com.
Welcome back, everybody. It's your time to Ed Up on the EdUp Experience podcast, where we make education your business. This is Dr. Joe Salustio back with you on another episode, and I'm going to get the gratuitous self-promotion out of the way here very quickly. Want to remind our audience that we've decided with a part of our website, the edupexperience.com, or it's not the edupexperience.com, edupexperience.com, to give an opportunity for college and university administrators, ed tech leaders, to have another place to post their articles. Yes, there's some trade publications if you write something of interest and you got to go out there and sell your stuff. At the EdUp Experience, we believe every story needs to be told. So if you want to write something up about your company, about the work that you're doing, we're going to give you a place to publish it, and we're going to put it out to our worldwide audience. And that's just a service that we want to provide to our friends across higher education. And you could submit your article submissions to EdUp at edupexperience.com. We hope to see you celebrate your institution and what's going on in higher education today as willingly as you would like, and we're going to give you a spot for it. That said, I'm on the road today, so I'm a little discombobulated. I thought I had all my mic equipment. I had half of my mic equipment. I had to come quickly to Reston, Virginia, the headquarters of Ellucian, where I work, to do some stuff, and I just didn't pack everything I needed. So we've strapped together. We bootstrapped a good podcast setup here. All the normal sound effects like this.
Attention.
And we're going to have a great podcast today. Along for the ride, it's been a while since she's been here, but I had to go. Basically what happened is she was here. I found her office. I stood outside of it. I knocked on the glass and said, you have to do this. You have to do this. You have to do this. Until she relented. Ladies and gentlemen, she is Laura Ibsen. She is the CEO at Ellucian. Laura, welcome back to an EdUp Mic.
Well, it's great to be here, and good news is I don't actually have an office, but you track me down, and it's always awesome to join you, Joe, and we have a amazing guest.
You know, it's been a while since you've been here, Laura, on the podcast, and I wanted to make sure that when we bring you back, we're bringing you back to talk to the most innovative leaders in higher ed. And I said today, the gentleman we're going to interview, I read his background, and it just screams college president. Like when I tell you what's in his background, like you just go, oh yeah, college president, right? It seems obvious. Maybe not. Maybe not. If you read his background, you go, really? And then he ended up in higher education. There's a lot of people that do that, right? You start doing something and you end up in higher ed because you want to serve the greater good. Like you.
We're all in. This is the mission.
All right, here we go, ladies and gents. Let's bring him to the mic. He's Dr. Michael P. Shannon. He is the president of the University of North Georgia. Mike, welcome to an EdUp Mic. How are you?
Joe, Laura, it is a privilege. Joe almost knocked on the glass. It was one step short, but Laura, you got knocked on the glass. I kind of did, but thanks, Joe, for having me.
You know, I was being facetious, obviously, because I'm not very serious most of the time. And I actually don't read bios in this podcast because not that I don't celebrate bios and the work that people do, but yours, I just want to read a bit of it because it is the complete opposite of what you would expect a background to look like. Not the complete opposite, but certainly when you think about higher education and president, you don't go, You've got a degree, undergrad degree in aerospace engineering, a master's in aeronautical science, another master's in health physics, and a PhD in nuclear and radiological engineering from Georgia Tech. And you spent 20 years in the U.S. Army. Thank you for your service. How the heck do you end up a college president? That's my question.
I'm still trying to sort that out. Don't tell my mom I'm here. She's not sure that where I am right now.
Surprise.
But no, very seriously, when you become affiliated with the United States Army at 18 years old and you spend pretty much your whole adult life there, as you are getting ready to quote retire, you have to have a moment with yourself and say, really, where do you want to be? And then reality strikes. And so this has been a journey. If you turn 180 and look back on the course of my professional life, you would never draw the vector that got me to this place. But I'm here today because I believe in the power of a college education. I believe in the power of America being educated at a high level. And this is what I was born to do. And so, a lot of people wake up and say, what do you want to be when you grow up? I have figured it out, Joe. And it's being here at this university at this moment, being a part of this tremendous team and this amazing 151-year-old startup, as I like to call it.
Interesting that you say that, and I'm going to give you that's a nice lead-in. Tell us about the University of North Georgia. Set the stage for us. Where are you located? Who do you serve, and how do you serve them?
So first and foremost, we are a public regional institution, part of the university system of Georgia. So we have 25 siblings, including the University of Georgia, Georgia Tech, Augusta University, Georgia State. We are in the northeast portion of the state. We are a product of two legacy institutions, what was historically North Georgia College and State University, and then Gainesville State College. So the university system consolidated these institutions in 2013. Today, we serve on 5 campuses across our region. And these are 5 campuses, 1 university. So these are not 5 separate campuses. This is 1 university, 5 campuses, serving nearly 19,700 students. So it's a pretty incredible story. It all began in 1873 in the gold rush town of Dahlonega, Georgia. We're in the North Georgia mountains. The views outside of my window are to die for. And we serve a very diverse group of students, most traditional 18 to 25-year-old learners, but many adult learners as well. And so it is an incredible university because of what we like to call around here the power of 5. These 5 campuses are our assets, and they allow us to serve in a very unique way that a lot of universities don't have the opportunity to partake in. So it's really a special place.
Laura.
Well, listen, thinking about your military background, the tradition that you have, UNG, you're also someone who comes with a science background, and I'm just super curious around how are you building a modern experience for your students? How are you balancing tradition with innovation at a time where digital is everywhere that we sit and how we're learning? And you've come into an organization that has a lot of history, but also creating pathways for the future for careers. And I'm curious about your vision for that, President Shannon.
Yeah, Laura, that's a really good question. It's framed a very difficult way, so thank you for asking the hard question.
She likes to go real hard at the beginning.
I thought I had a little more time before Joe brought me in, so I was like,
it was kind of an abrupt segue, wasn't it, Laura?
By the way, Joe, I didn't sign up for this.
I know, he's changing his mind already.
Yeah, no, Laura asked.
I'm going to have some softballs too there.
I appreciate it. Thanks for taking care of the retired Army guy. But no, I mean, now more than ever, the value of a college education is more important. And I know there's massive debate, and you all are in this world with me, and there's massive debate. I think now more than ever, people need to grapple with what a college degree provides. You need to be in the ring of discovery. And so as you think about where technology is, and technology, I'm a nerd. I am a certified nerd.
Epic.
I am still blown away every day to think about where technology is, and more importantly, where it's going. I'm such a nerd, Laura, that I sit around and think about the Apollo days and wonder, how on earth did we ever pull that off 60 years ago, with technology that's like a fraction of what's in a person's pocket in their cell phone today. It's so to think about that curve, and you can call it Moore's law, you can call it whatever you want, is quite fascinating, because our students today have access to more information, more knowledge than anyone who grew up, back then. We'll put us all in that same category, but lack the insight and the wisdom on how to process that knowledge, and so that's something we are grappling with every day here. How do we there's a tension between the two, and how do you start to connect those pieces together? This generation it's a talented generation. I have my kids are in this generation, and they're smart, and they have access to so much information. But I believe our challenge is how do we connect them, and how do we also connect them with understanding the value of why college matters. Laura, college makes all of us do hard things that most of us don't want to do. Now, sometimes you go to college and you enjoy the setting you're in and the course you're in or the framework you're in. But many times college stretches you and it pulls you. And so we get really inspired around here by introducing that to our students, and having our students grapple with that. And so I really haven't effectively answered your question, but these are the contexts upon which we are thinking and operating. And it really comes back to purpose. And, this generation more than ever is really seeking a future that is saturated in the idea of purpose. And, I tell our faculty and our students here all the time, we're not going to help you find your purpose here. I think that's flawed, because, Laura, you're shaking your head. You and I are still growing up, right? We're still working our way towards that. But what we're going to do here is to equip you to walk toward that purpose, and to give you the tools you need to be able to discover, question, grapple, conquer, do hard things. And that's what this is all about. And Joe, you asked me, well, how did I get from an adult career of service in the military to here? This is what I've been doing for 30 years. I've been, conquering, grappling, overcoming very hard things. And I want to share what I've learned with as many as I can. And the role of a president allows me to be able to do that.
Mike, I feel like you were channeling a conversation I had with my my son who's in college, who is struggling with, like, how do I think about what I'm studying and what my value and purpose is and what the next 10 years look like. And I think the one thing that we learn in our careers and in education is that it's a journey. We're always on this journey to find a purpose, a different purpose, a new purpose. Sometimes when you make a career transition, but you've taken so many of the cultural aspects of what you've learned and you're bringing it forward. And it must just be incredibly reinvigorating to have this next journey at UNG. So one maybe quick thing, and then Joe will take my mic away. You talked about data and overload, and I think one things that many students struggle with is the overload of too much information and data. At the same time, we have, and you love innovation, so we have this not quite new, but new in a commercial sense, artificial intelligence. I'm curious, how are you thinking about AI as it impacts faculty and students and grappling with that? And do you see that as an opportunity to have lighten the load on information versus making it even more difficult as we all struggle with the digitization of everything?
Artificial intelligence.
Yeah.
Okay, that was my softball question.
I love it. I love it. Look, there's so much debate, controversy, drama. There's so much flowing around this topic. And Laura and Joe, well, artificial intelligence is not new. It's been called different things, but many, computer scientists, data analysts, data scientists, lots of folks that I hang out with, because like I said, I'm a nerd, have been using tools like this for a very long time. What's happened is they're now deployed. They're now deployable. You don't need to have a PhD in computer science to be able to deploy these tools. And so that's really what's changed, the delivery, the deployment, the prolific nature of these. These are tools. I think this is the same thing we're grappling with when the PC came on board and the calculator. And my gosh, the slide rule. I can only imagine what the slide rule was like back in those days. By the way, when I went to engineering school as an undergrad, all my professors learned on a slide rule.
It's fuzzy math.
Amen. And now today, people sit with their Mac and they run Python scripts out of generative AI, while they're talking to you. And so I am a big fan of embracing these tools. I think we've been way too caught up in worrying about the misuse of them. I think we have to get to the positive side of their value, just like we have all of these other tools over the past, multiple decades. And I honestly don't think anyone's cracked the code on this. A lot of folks are doing a lot of good things. And I see that across higher ed. There's a lot of places doing really great things with these tools and leveraging them and bringing them about. But there's still a lot of work to do. And, we are working really hard here, and it's difficult. There's so much going on. The train is moving so fast. There's so much information even about these, Laura, you talk about information in general. There's so much information just around these tools and calibrating towards those. And I love the work of McGowan and Shipley, the adaptation advantage work that was done. And there's so many insights there and so much of that. And they wrote that book right as COVID was breaking. So much of that is coming to pass. I mean, the kind of the way that has played out, this fourth industrial revolution, yep. And how do we grip and grapple with that at scale? And so, one of the things that we've been talking a lot about around here is let's not focus on the misuse. Let's focus on the use, the positive aspect of it. One of my colleagues had a bunch of input the other day, and he put it into ChatGPT, and this brilliant outline emerged, and we literally used it today as an agenda. And it was so helpful. It was so easy.
Time saving. Saved a few minutes too.
It was amazing. And I told my teammate, I said, you're a smart guy, but that would have taken you 3 hours. He's like, yeah, it took me 3 minutes. So why don't we leverage that? Why don't we harness that and spend the other 2 hours and 57 minutes, figuring out how to impact with that knowledge? So that's how I see it. I think there's so much to be done. I still think it's the frontier. And it's also the Wild West. But I do think a lot of folks are doing great things. but the value is probably in the eye of the beholder.
Well, we're excited about AI, and just a really short plug. The most recent thing that we built with AI is called Journey, and it goes across all the course and curriculum and maps the skill sets that students have. So as they move through their degree planning, they know the skills that they have, and ultimately it ties to career opportunities directly into the workforce data. So that saves a lot of time for faculty and advisors, but students too, and gives more confidence, and they can actually see and understand not just a degree or a certification, but what are the skill sets and how do I tie that to the opportunities. And as they go, like an Amazon shopping cart, I can take a different kind of course to give myself a data science capability with my marketing degree, and it ties directly to jobs. So I think that really speaks to what you raised, which is, the value of a degree. We all know, we've seen it, but many students are questioning it. It's showing up in some of the enrollment, and learning has been very transformed, not just through COVID, but we're learning differently, and we need to harness all those capabilities like AI to create better experiences. So it's awesome that you have that mindset, because I do think the leading universities and institutions are taking it as a positive, knowing that you have to govern it, and we'll be excited to see what you do with it.
No pressure. No pressure. Since Laura said it here live on the Edip Experience podcast, we'll be watching, Mike. Listen, I want to go back to Come Forward a minute and to open this up a little bit broader on change and technology and adoption, really change in general. If you look back at your expertise, first of all, the first question I had when you popped on camera was how your background. It's like you should be 100 years old with this background, but you look like you're 25. So I'm having trouble putting all this together.
And how many airplanes did he jump out of?
Yeah,
how
many
factor
airplanes?
That in. Like,
how could you jump out of an airplane at 90 years old and still look like that?
H.W. Bush did. I think he was over 92, by the way.
We're not making those kind of comparisons here, but what we want to do is understand how you take your skills from the military and how that hits higher ed and what those ups and downs are. You were in nuclear technology, right? You at the U.S. Department of Defense. Right. And then you're with the Defense Threat Reduction Agency. And I look at those and I think about order and protocols and speed, probably. Like you got to move, if you're reducing threat, there's probably some speed to it in crisis response. And then you go to Georgia Tech, later, and then you're really running finance and administration. Probably a little bit further away from the faculty, but now you become a college president, so all stakeholders hit you at the same time. Students, faculty, staff, alumni, donors, everybody. And higher ed is ripe for change, and it is well known that some institutions cannot pull off change appropriately, not even appropriately, quickly. There's a lot of inertia. We've done it that way. We don't want to do it a new way. How have you used your experience to help drive change at the University of North Georgia? More than 400 colleges around the globe trust UWill to support the mental health and wellness of their students, faculty, and staff. As the leading global mental health and wellness solution, UWill provides an immediate appointment with a licensed counselor based on student preferences, all modalities of teletherapy, a direct crisis connection, wellness events, real-time data, and support. Learn how the leading mental health and wellness solution can support your campus by visiting uwill.com.
Hey everybody, this is Elvin Freitas, co-founder of the Edip Experience. Are you enjoying the conversation so far? Good, I hope so. Did you know that you can actually hear this conversation early before anybody else and ad-free, so you don't have to hear my voice during these ads? And did you also know that you could get extended episodes, bonus episodes, original content? That's right, original content and invites to special events, all while helping to sustain EdUp? Well, if you didn't know, now you know. So go to edupexperience.com, that's EDUP experience.com, and become a subscriber today. First, you got to sign up to our free email newsletter, and then you'll find out how to become a subscriber. Again, go to edupexperience.com.
Yeah, Joe, I appreciate that question, because you're smelling what I'm stepping in. Joe.
I smell it so clearly. You have no idea. We'll have conversations, my friend.
Off podcast.
So,
Yeah, off the record.
but sincerely, I look, there is nobody who values the college experience more than I, and I am been very fortunate to have the opportunity to earn 4 degrees in 4 different time periods. The Army was incredibly helpful to me and incredibly generous to me. Now I had to do a lot of things, and you can ask my wife. She didn't exactly like the things that I had to do either. But they have transformed me. They have molded me. And so, the thread that runs throughout my entire journey is the ability to influence, inspire people. So really a journey of leadership. Now, I did that in a bunch of different ways in a bunch of different jobs, from teaching physics at West Point. And one of my jobs was I was the academic officer representative to the Army football team. So that's right, Joe. You're looking at the guy who taught physics to the football team, and it was. I learned a lot. Let's just say I learned
about yourself.
I learned a lot about myself. Great young people who worked really hard, and then all the way through the career and going forward. Most of what we did the latter part of my career was the global war on terrorism. So we were doing threat work around counterterrorism, building technologies very quickly, getting them into the hands of warfighters, and leveraging the best solutions that we could. Most people watch TV shows and think that's the way it is, and it's not. Most of the time, physics doesn't even hold in most of Hollywood, and they get liberty to do that. But when you're on the ground trying to neutralize a threat, physics plays as a vote. So we did a lot of that, and what we constantly tried to do was build teams, put people together. And through that experience, inspiration occurred, and people got better and better. And as you think about it, the university of the future, it's really about engagement. It's about belonging. It's about having students work together. It's about students, grappling with these topics together. The American institution, the American higher education, the American university is 388 years old. And quite frankly, Joe, it acts its age. It acts its age. And look, I have all respect for the traditional altruistic notions of what the academy is. I understand it, and I have empathy towards it. But we are in a generation and in a moment and in an environment where those ideals need to move forward. And so, I'm inspired by, equipping students for purpose, talking to students about the value of leadership and teams and working together. And look, Joe, I was not the smartest tool in the box, trust me. And yes, I, was able to get a couple of degrees along the way and have some credentials. But I always knew how to get the best out of everyone around the table. And I think that's the future of our society. That's the future of America. America is at its best when people work together and they bring everything they have to the table and they leave it on the table. And so that's some of what we believe in here. That's what we're working on. We really believe we're charting a course to a university that's never existed. And I mean that at scale. I mean that writ large because of the assets we have here. And we're trying to do our best to influence, the future of the American university right here in beautiful northern Georgia.
Tell them like it is.
Now, I did, I don't know if you know this, but I have elevated technology where I am able to hack presidents' computers. And so I have a recording from you. Not that I'm going to call anything on what you said, but this recording of you on your first day, it's your first order that you gave. Not that you would do this, but, it's a secret recording.
Execute Order 66.
Now, I don't know what you were talking about, but, I hope it ended up okay. No, I joke because sometimes we, at the executive level in higher ed, there's this fine line between, look, I know it has to be done. This is the way the university has to go. We're inspiring people to get there. You're just going to have some people that can't get there. And there's this moment where you have to decide, people on the bus. Do I have the right people on the bus? Are they in the wrong seat? So on. Because we have to get here. We have to get here for the sustainability of the institution because we have to adopt new technology. And as you said, not everybody comes along for the ride. And I've been obviously studying leadership in higher education with these 300 interviews I've done with college presidents. And, one word sticks out for me among all the others. And it's not more important or less important, but it keeps coming up, and it's alignment. Like having your executive team aligned completely and having your key faculty members aligned on this purpose, because that break in alignment prevents innovation at all levels. What do you think?
Yeah, I think you're spot on, Joe. And you can look at some of the best innovators, in our memory that we have observed. And that's one of the things that they worked really hard on is aligning, synchronizing, calibrating together. And look, I tell folks this all the time. I don't have all the answers. But I was formed in a culture where you conduct the mission and you move, and so something I tell folks all the time, and it's very difficult in our environment, Joe. It's let's not admire the problem. Let's keep moving. We will fail, and that is okay. But we will then learn and we will continue. And yes, and I think the alignment, since we got here, I have the opportunity of serving with an amazing provost, the chief of staff, who is a great teammate, the faculty senate, just all us, the deans. We are all seeing the same things. That doesn't mean that 100% everyone is on board, but we are working incredibly hard to have folks realize that. A thriving university creates an ecosystem where everyone's passions can be born and grown. And so if you do this well, you both know you can get a lot done and bring everyone with you if you do that. So I think alignment is the critical path to a success, to building a university that doesn't exist. And I spend a lot of time talking to people. I remind people every day, look, I'm a guy. I'm a human, and I am flawed and broken, and work really hard, and go home and have the same struggles as everyone else. And I think that's another thing that's happened historically. Now the American college presidency is a very special place, and I have the utmost respect for it. But I think at times it has been way too elevated, and just way too, taken to a place that's not necessary, and it's then made it ineffective. And so I think when people realize that, hey, there's Mike, not there's President Shannon, mm-hmm. That goes an incredibly long way. And I've worked very hard to change. And look, we're going to respect the office. We're going to respect the place that it has inside of our organization, our institution. But we're not going to revere the person who's sitting in the seat in the office. We're going to revere the office itself. So, I appreciate that, Joe, because I think that's a key alignment.
I had a little bit of a follow-up question, because building what doesn't exist yet is hard. It's exciting, but it comes with a big bucket of change. And we know that as humans, most humans don't wake up every morning saying, yeah, bring it on, let's go change something else again. How do you manage alignment and change that does create stress for your faculty, administration, but also for students at a time where, through COVID, there was a lot more anxiety, and over 70% of all students today say they have either depression or anxiety. How do you manage change and get people motivated, help your students, and help build that future? It's just such a really exciting but challenging time that we're living in this massive transformation of higher education.
Yeah, Laura, that's a great question, and one I get excited about. And so,
Me
too. one of the cultural things of this university that I'm very proud of, and again, I'm new here, but something that this university has always stood for is building graduates, building leaders who are equipped to go anywhere and do anything. And it's been apparent since our beginning. We have a long military heritage here as one of the senior military colleges. That's just a small part of what we do. But that heritage has permeated all of our graduates, whether they're teachers or nurses or end up being physicians, accountants, lawyers, and students come out of here and do all kind of different things. But we believe that there's nothing more important to every student than the ability to be dynamic, to be daring, and to be able to adapt to change themselves. So part of this is also what we want to build in our students, right? It's not just about us, it's about what we're trying to equip our students with. And we're all going to need that adaptability. As you said, Laura, the world is changing and accelerating at such a lightning fast pace. It is hard to keep up. This economy is changing right before our eyes. And I don't think most folks realize, because they're just so busy with life and, families and stuff, and everything is changing. And then on top of that, our world is changing. And it's the reality we live in. It's technology, it's the social, areas, it's political. I mean, it's just all of these facets. While we've been talking here, Laura, something big has changed in our world. It's a fact.
It's crazy to think about that.
I'm looking at my news feed.
It's a fact, and I'm not. So don't tell me what's going on. I'll check it after.
Yeah, no.
But having said that, everyone's always looking for fresh ways to deal with change. Everyone's always looking for that, because we're all hardwired to dislike it. Nobody likes change. And definitely in higher education. So, one of the things I've drawn inspiration from is, somebody who I think is an expert on the topic. Somebody who's an artist, who was a cultural icon, and who, quite frankly, was an agent of change, and that's David Bowie.
Oh, cool!
I thought you were going to say me for
Uh-huh.
a second, but
No, sorry,
thought it
you
might
don't
be
rise to the challenge.
You got to that before I could
but,
ask who inspires you. So this is awesome.
David Bowie knew a thing or two about change. His entire creative life was defined by change. He changed to reflect the times. He changed to lead the times. He changed to stay fresh. And most people haven't probably followed his journey, but it's fascinating if you think about it. You thought I was going to say some daring scientist, didn't you, Joe? See?
Aerospace
Military
engineer of some kind or something.
Military
cultured.
leader.
But he always wanted to shake things up. He always wanted to dare us to keep up. And as we know, he wrote a song about it. And I think there's so much to say about that, the way he thought about it. And I think this is some of the greatest advice we can take on. And I've talked about this recently here in some of our strategy talks here at the University of North Georgia. And so, he says, turn and face the strange. And it's so relevant, right? It's so fresh and it's so real. Face the strange. Don't fight it. Don't resist it. Don't hide from it, even if you want to, because the strange, the new, the unfamiliar is where the growth happens. And that's what we're talking about every day here. And look, I had a meeting this morning that if the folks on that call with me heard me talking right now, I'd probably be getting, water balloons tossed at me.
Yikes!
Yeah, exactly. Because it is these dynamics, and so I think the idea of, facing the strange, embracing the change, using it as a catalyst, it's incumbent upon us that deliver this work to teach this to our students. Because Laura and Joe, with all due respect, we're all probably around the same age. We are not going to face what our current students today, our 18, 19, 20, 21-year-old students today, our traditional students in that traditional demographic, are going to face things in their lifetime that we never had to see. And I saw that in my journey in the military. And it blows me away to look back at my journey in the military and to see how that evolved. And it's not just in warfare or in national security related things. It's in technology. It's in the way, an event can change how people think. Try coughing in an elevator now. What happens? Nobody's sick on the elevator.
Yeah.
Yeah, no.
But everybody starts freaking out. Think about the way we engage now with an airport considered before, 25 years ago, and just how these things result in change. And so I think this gets into the ideals of resilience, and a lot of times these are overstated, but I think they're true. It gets into a grittiness.
Grit. That's the word, grit. It's one of the best words.
And I think there is a grittiness to our society and to our culture that is very apparent. And it's one thing that's, I think, stitched Americans together for generations. And I think it's, with all the dynamics in the world today, we're all grit. We're all gritty, all of us in our own way. Everybody has different levels of grit, but we're gritty. We're trying to take care of our families. We're trying to take care of our careers. We're trying to take care of our homes. We're trying to, we're all trying to, live out these ideals. And I think as you think about change, those are the concepts that we need our students to be embracing, because they're going to see it tenfold from what we see it today. They just are.
I feel like there's going to be an AI generated song by the deceased David Bowie, rest in peace, on grit.
I love it.
I would be remiss. I want to just give you a quick minute before we outro you here to talk about military men and women. I find that higher ed is slow to come along on credit for prior learning or prior learning assessment for men and women in the military. You go out there, you're a medic in the military. Isn't that worth some college credit if you see wartime or any kind of training and you've got live scenarios? Do you have an opinion on that? Are we giving enough credit to our servicemen and women for the work that they're out there doing? I mean, talk about experiential learning.
Yeah, Joe, I will give you a strong and passionate no.
Thought you might say that.
We are just not there. And it's the rural we. It's the we, the enterprise. It's all of us. And, Joe, you open a can of worms on this topic with me. I mean,
Podcast.
We'll do
Look,
another whole podcast on this.
let's do it,
Podcast with the
because
group.
look, here's the
It's a
deal.
great topic. It's so
It,
critical.
it's a great topic, and I think it permeates also into the non-military. I think as we think about, and this has been one of the rubs around higher education lately. It's this very structured, narrow path, and along the way, man, if you don't follow that path, you're not going to get to the end. And the military is a great example. And I'll just give you this one example. So a standard infantry soldier in the Army, so an infantry soldier, a fighting soldier, who ends up joining one of the elite organizations, say it's the Ranger Regiment, which we have a lot of respect for. And by the way, a proud North Georgia graduate is the current commander of the 75th Ranger Regiment. Shameless plug. That soldier is going to get more leadership training than most of us combined in the time that they serve. And only if they serve a 4, 5, 6 year enlistment, they're going to have more leadership training than most people can get in a career. And when they leave, we have no way of recognizing that, And you know what I'm hearing from employers, Joe and Laura, and you are too, because I know you do this just like I do all the time. I don't show up and they say, and this is, I'm talking to employers in our region all the time. They're not saying, man, I wish your business majors had more accounting courses, or man, I wish those STEM majors were having more, science classes. You know what they're saying? I'm looking for great people. I'm looking for great teammates. I'm looking for people who are ready to show up with arms open and say, what can I do to help today to make our place better? So those skills are directly correlated to, you talk about alignment. They're directly aligned to the skills that most service members gain when they're in the service. It's about doing hard things. I think that's what the world needs to focus on. People that can do hard things, they show up on time, they're ready to go. I mean, I think that's our dream as employers. And so, the more we can take advantage of that type of experience and get that inside of the higher ed construct, and I'd love to come back and talk about this because I'm very, very passionate about it, the better off we'll be. And I think then there's other examples, of people who have been in many areas, teachers, oh my goodness, healthcare professionals, first responder professionals, fire, police, emergency. We could go on and on. So I think as we think about the future of the academy, we really have to think about these ideals, and this isn't about turning the academy into work-based learning. This isn't about taking us away from what we hold to be true, but it's opening our aperture for the opportunities we have to, first of all, get folks to the marketplace as fast as we can, as efficiently as we can, as economically as we can, and really bring the skills to bear that they need to know. Most employers, Laura and Joe, tell me, I will teach people what they need to know. I just need good people. I hear that over and over again. You're a CEO, Laura. What do you say to people? I'm sure you say something like that.
All the time. I want people who are open, who want to learn, who are gritty, who are passionate about what they do. They see a mission every single day. And just so you know, I'm super proud because I'm a big supporter of veterans. We have hundreds of veterans at Aleutian. In fact, Joe Bellman, who's sitting right outside here, is a veteran, and he runs our facilities and procurement. He was our commander, our real commander, to help us get through COVID. He was on top of everything, and without Joe and his precision and his leadership, he commanded to making sure that we all locked arms, got through COVID, helped our teams all over the world, made sure our office space was safe. that was just said to me every day. We're super fortunate to have so many veterans out of Lucian. So, how do we make sure they get credit for their experiences? I'm excited. I want to be part of that podcast.
Yeah, well, I think we should do it. I'd like to commit to doing that because this is I know we're keeping you past the hour we have, Mike, but you can stick around just for one more minute. I would like to invite you back for that, and I'd like to find a couple others that I know are very passionate about that, and maybe we can pull something off because I think the military for if you just talk about credit for prior learning, you can do it for all types of careers. But the military represents intense training that if you want to give credit for it, you can. We just don't. We don't want to. And it's not because the accreditor says we can. It's not because the academic model says we can. It's because it's a subjective process, and somebody just goes, well, they have to take this part of the curriculum or else they won't learn that. And I just say it's total you know what, because we will, people who are teaching it, never have that experience of being in a real intense situation in a leadership on the field somewhere. And it's our responsibility as citizens to honor that experience. So we'll have you back for that, Mike, if you're willing.
Oh, sign me up. I cannot wait to get back together with you and Laura and grapple with this with others. And that's what we want to grapple with here. We want to be at the university that hasn't existed. And so these are the ways that we are probing, these types of topics and really, really working hard to change the face of higher education. So I appreciate that, Joe.
Well, Laura, thank you for coming back and doing this with me for the first time in person after all the time we've been together.
First in person, and what a special guest we have. I mean, I've learned a lot, and I'm just excited about the future of UNG, the Georgia system, and getting on top of this military issue too. Like, there's an opportunity.
We're going to do it. He's your guest today, ladies and gentlemen. He is Dr. Michael Shannon. He is the president of the University of North Georgia. And you have just ed-upped. More than 400 colleges around the globe trust UWill to support student mental health and wellness needs. With UWill, students can book an appointment in 5 minutes and receive crisis support in 30 seconds from licensed therapists 24/7, 365. Private, secure, confidential, and built to support students and you. UWill provides an immediate appointment with a licensed counselor based on student preferences, all modalities of teletherapy, a direct crisis connection, wellness events, real-time data, and support. Learn more about bringing the leading mental health and wellness solution to your campus by visiting uwill.com. That's UWILL.com.
Hey, everybody. This is Elvin Freitas, co-founder of the EdUp Experience. Did you enjoy that conversation? I hope you did. Did you know that you can actually hear this conversation early on and ad-free? And you can also hear extended episodes, bonus episodes, original content. That's right, original content, and invites to special events, all while helping to sustain EdUp. Did you know that? Well, if you didn't know, now you know. To become a subscriber, go to edupexperience.com. That's EDUP experience.com to subscribe to our free email newsletter to learn how you can get access. Again, that's edupexperience.com. That's EDUP experience.com.